What if I told you there's a fighter jet that isn't designed to dogfight, not designed to sneak past radar, but designed to arrive so fast that nothing can react in time? A jet that could fly near the edge of space, move faster than most missiles, and intercept targets before they ever become a threat. Sounds like science fiction, right? But according to Russian officials and aerospace insiders, this aircraft already has a name: MiG-41, also known as PAK DP. And if even half of the claims are true, this wouldn't just be another fighter jet. It would be the fastest combat aircraft ever conceived. Faster than Mach 4, possibly hypersonic, built to replace the legendary MiG-41, an interceptor that still terrifies NATO planners to this day. But here's the problem. There are no clear photos, no flying prototype, and no proof that this aircraft can actually exist yet. Some experts say the MiG-41 is the future of air defense. Others say it's pure propaganda, an aviation myth designed to scare rivals. So which is it? Is the MiG-41 a real 6th-generation interceptor that could redefine air combat, or just the most ambitious military bluff of the modern era? Today, we're breaking down everything we actually know about the MiG-41 PAK DP, the speed claims, the technology, the timeline, and why this aircraft has the world watching very closely. Because if the MiG-41 ever takes to the skies, air warfare may never be the same again. What is the MiG-41 PAK DP? To understand the MiG-41, we first need to understand why it exists at all. Russia isn't trying to build another dogfighting jet. It already has plenty of those. What Russia actually fears are high-speed threats it cannot intercept in time. Hypersonic missiles, stealth bombers, targets flying too fast, too high, and too far away for conventional fighters. That's where PAK DP comes in. PAK DP stands for Prospective Aviation Complex for Long-Range Interception, and that phrase alone tells us everything about its mission. This aircraft is designed to intercept, not chase, to dominate speed and altitude, not turning radius. The MiG-41 is meant to replace the MiG-31, an aircraft so fast and so high-flying that it still has no true Western equivalent. But unlike the MiG-31, the MiG-41 isn't being built for the Cold War. It's being built for a future where threats arrive in minutes, and reaction time is the difference between defense and disaster.
Hypersonic speed claims. Now here's where the MiG-41 stops sounding like a normal aircraft and starts sounding unreal. Russian sources claim the MiG-41 could reach speeds beyond Mach 4, with some estimates pushing even higher. To put that into perspective, most modern fighter jets struggle to stay effective above Mach 2. Even the fastest operational interceptors rarely exceed Mach 3. Mach 4 isn't just fast, it's hypersonic territory. At that speed, the MiG-41 wouldn't be racing other jets, it would be racing missiles. Heat becomes a weapon, air resistance becomes a wall, and traditional aircraft design begins to break down. Which raises an obvious question: how could any aircraft survive that? The answer lies in altitude. The MiG-41 is expected to operate near the edge of space, where the air is thin, drag is reduced, and speed becomes easier to sustain. At those altitudes, the MiG-41 wouldn't patrol airspace. It would control entire regions from above them. And interception would no longer mean chasing a target. It would mean predicting its path and arriving first. That's why analysts believe the MiG-41 isn't just a fighter. It's a strategic interceptor designed to react in minutes, not hours. stealth, space, and sensors. Speed alone isn't enough. At Mach 4 and beyond, you don't just need power, you need to see everything before it sees you. And this is where the MiG-41 becomes truly unconventional. Unlike Western fighters, stealth may not be its primary weapon. Instead of trying to disappear from radar, the MiG-41 is expected to rely on altitude, speed, and sensors. Flying near the edge of space gives it a massive advantage. From that height, radar coverage expands dramatically. Hundreds of kilometers away become visible. Entire air corridors can be monitored from a single platform. Russian officials have even hinted that the MiG-41 could operate in coordination with satellites, receiving targeting data from space in real time. Some analysts believe it may even carry anti-satellite weapons, giving it a role far beyond traditional air combat. In that sense, the MiG-41 isn't just watching the battlefield, it's watching the planet. This aircraft wouldn't react to threats as they appear on radar. It would track them before they ever entered defended airspace. And at hypersonic speed, detection doesn't lead to evasion. It leads to interception.
MiG-41 versus U.S. 6th-generation jets. When people hear 6th-generation fighter, they often think of stealth, artificial intelligence, and drone swarms. That's the American approach. The United States is building aircraft designed to be invisible, networked, and supported by autonomous wingmen. The MiG-41 represents a completely different philosophy. Where American designs focus on avoiding detection, Russia focuses on ending the engagement before it begins. The MiG-41 isn't meant to sneak into enemy airspace. It's meant to deny access to entire regions of the sky. Instead of silent penetration, it relies on overwhelming speed and altitude. Instead of dogfighting, it relies on long-range interception. This isn't about which aircraft is better. It's about doctrine. The United States prepares to project power across the globe. Russia prepares to defend vast territory at extreme distances. And the MiG-41 fits perfectly into that defensive strategy. If American 6th-generation jets are hunters, the MiG-41 is a gatekeeper, and anything that crosses its threshold may never know what intercepted it. Is the MiG-41 real or just propaganda? This is where the MiG-41 story becomes uncomfortable. Because for all the speed claims, all the futuristic concepts, there's one thing we still haven't seen: a flying MiG-41. There are no confirmed photographs of a prototype, no test footage, no official rollout ceremony. And in the world of military aviation, that matters. So skeptics argue that the MiG-41 is less an aircraft and more a message, a signal to rivals that Russia is still thinking far beyond the present. But here's the counter-argument. Russia has a long history of developing extreme interceptors in secrecy. The MiG-25 shocked the world. The MiG-31 followed quietly and remained unmatched for decades. In both cases, Western analysts underestimated what was happening behind closed doors. And unlike pure propaganda projects, the MiG-41 has something important backing it: official statements, budget discussions, and a clear strategic need. Replacing the MiG-31 isn't optional. That aircraft is aging, and nothing else in Russia's inventory can do its job. So the MiG-41 exists in a strange space between reality and ambition. It's real enough to be planned, real enough to be funded, but not yet real enough to be proven. And that uncertainty is exactly what makes it powerful, because even the possibility of a hypersonic interceptor forces planners to rethink everything. When could the MiG-41 actually enter service? So, if the MiG-41 is real, the next question becomes obvious. When could it actually fly? Official timelines are vague, and that's intentional. Some Russian sources suggest the MiG-41 could enter service in the late 2020s. Others push that estimate into the early to mid-2030s. But developing an aircraft like this isn't just difficult, it's extreme. Hypersonic flight requires new materials, new engines, new cooling systems, and an entirely new approach to maintenance and logistics. This won't be a mass-produced fighter. Analysts expect the MiG-41, if it enters service at all, to exist in small numbers, deployed only where its unique abilities matter most: Arctic regions, strategic borders, areas where speed and altitude mean everything. In other words, the MiG-41 wouldn't replace Russia's Air Force, it would sit above it. A specialized interceptor designed for moments when there is no second chance. The hypersonic question. The MiG-41 may never become a household name. It may never appear in air shows or fly in large formations, but that was never the point. The MiG-41 represents a different way of thinking about air combat, one where speed replaces stealth, altitude replaces maneuverability, and interception happens before confrontation. Whether it becomes reality or not, the idea alone is already shaping military planning. Because when nations plan for the possibility of a hypersonic interceptor, every assumption changes. Routes change, timelines shrink, and mistakes become fatal. So here's the real question. Do you believe the MiG-41 will ever take to the skies, or will it remain a legend, a weapon that existed only in theory but still managed to influence the future? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you want more deep dives into future military technology, make sure you're subscribed, because the next aircraft that changes everything might already be under construction.